All right, good morning, everyone. Thought I would go ahead and just read another week's worth of devotions from Wisdom from the Bible, Daily Thoughts from the Proverbs. So we are on October 8th. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Chapter 22, verses 24 and 25. Their boy had always been a good one. Even until high school, he had helped around the house. He had been respectful, he had cared for his younger sisters, and he never talked back. He was the perfect boy, and he seemed to be happy. Then in high school, he had started hanging around with a pair of boys from the center part of town. They were always in trouble or causing it. They cursed and fought, and they vandalized town property. Everyone knew the kind of trouble they caused, and it was rubbing off on their son. He had started talking back and throwing his weight around, and he was impossible to speak with. 13 years of upbringing wasn't enough to protect him from a couple of months of bad company. It was hard to see him so bad after he had been so good. As Christians, the company we keep is extremely important. If we spend our time with people who embrace sin, then we will be more tempted to do likewise than if we dwelt with others who are trying to live good, righteous lives. There is safety in numbers. Fellowship is a way that we can grow strong in our faith. With others to support us, and for us to support, we find additional strength during difficult times. Where two or more are gathered, there the Lord is with them. Thank you for giving me friends who feel the same way about life that I do. I need support in this life because it feels like the world is against me. I grow homesick for heaven, and it is comforting to have friends to share and wait for your glory with. October 9th. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set. Chapter 22, verse 28. When the neighbors decided to sell their land, they thought little of it. Now it was a major dispute. The neighbors were claiming that they had ownership of part of their land. It would have been a moot point 20 years before. His father had set large stone pillars on the property line, and a fence stretched from one to the other. They had marked the boundaries clearly and concisely, but they had been removed long ago, and now there was nothing to show where the line was. The property deeds had somehow been lost, and it looked like the court might find in favor of the neighbors. Sometimes we devalue the things our parents have done. We assume they acted impetuously and without cause. We lose touch with their wisdom and their desires. We destroy their legacy to us bit by bit. This is more true of the teachings they gave us when we were young. Parents do their best to bring up their children in the best way possible. They do what they can and hope that some of it sticks. Our Heavenly Father does the same thing. God has given us a legacy which has stretched over thousands of years. The tales of the Bible should give us instruction on how we should live our lives and what we should avoid. Often we choose to ignore the instruction, thinking that it is outdated. God's truth never grows out of date, and His instruction is as a lamp unto our feet. Lord God, forgive me when I think that I know more than those who have gone before me. Help me to see the wisdom of history, especially my personal history, that I might discern all the treasures that have been left for me. October 10th. When thou sittest to eat with a ruler, consider diligently what is before thee, and put a knife to thy throat. If thou be a man given to appetite, be not desirous of his dainties, for they are deceitful meat. Chapter 23, verses 1 through 3. It wasn't fair. He worked hard for his money, yet that no-account brother of his hardly did anything, and he was rich. He hated going to his brother's house because it made him feel so useless. The house was huge, and it had all the best furniture. His brother's cars both cost more than he could make in a year. His wife and kids were dressed in designer clothes, and they ate steak almost every meal. He envied his brother that he had everything a person could want. What he didn't know was that his brother was on the verge of a fatal heart attack caused by too much pressure and not enough time. He also didn't know that his brother's wife wanted to leave him, and that his home life had been rotten. All the glitter of his brother's gold blinded him so that he could not appreciate what he had himself. He only saw the good, none of the bad. We need to be careful what we are envious of. God calls us to live our lives day by day. It is wrong to live in the past, and it is dangerous to live for the future. Better by far is to live in the present and to learn to appreciate the blessings which we have, not mourn for all the things which we have to do without. I am surrounded by so much good. Help me not to begrudge those who have more than I do, for I do not know what their life may be like. Happiness has nothing to do with what we can own, but who we are. October 11th. Labor not to be rich. Cease from thine own wisdom. Wilt thou set thine eyes upon that which is not? For riches certainly make themselves wings. They fly away as an eagle toward heaven. Chapter 23, verses 4 and 5. His entire life he had wanted to be rich. He saved every penny he made and invested wisely. With money came power, and he aimed to be one of the most powerful men around. Over time, he came to desire money with all his heart. His investments became more and more risky as he tried for fast profit. All his life he had seemed to have a Midas touch, but then it turned to brass. A series of ill-advised investments ate up his wealth. In panic, he tried to recover his losses, but in his haste, he lost the rest of what he had. He had given himself totally to making money, and after a long life, he had absolutely nothing to show for it. It is better to give ourselves to something which cannot be taken away from us. Money is here and then gone, but faith in God endures forever. The treasure he gives us is eternal. Joy, peace, strength, love, and 1,000 other precious gifts can be ours if we will pursue God with all our heart, mind, and soul. He is the only thing worthy of such devotion. Everything else is a deception. It may seem worthwhile, but in reality it is without value. Give your heart to God, and he will reward you beyond your wildest dreams. I am surrounded by temptations which are temporary. They seem permanent, but they are frauds. Only you last forever, and in your love I will find true wealth. Fill me with a treasure that cannot diminish. October 12th. Let not thine heart envy sinners, and be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Chapter 23, verses 17 and 18. The class erupted into chaos. The teacher had been called to the phone, and after she left the room, the children went wild. A few sat quietly, watching the antics of the others. One boy watched as papers flew across the room. Some boys were having a snowball fight with wadded-up paper. They were laughing and having a wonderful time. The temptation became too much for the child, and he jumped from his chair, picked up a paper wad, and threw back his arm to let it fly. Just then the teacher returned, and she caught the boy before he even got his throw off. When the punishment came, it was as severe for him as it was for all the children who had been naughty from the beginning. No one knows the hour or the day when the Lord will return. It could be tomorrow or 1,000 years from now. What is required of Christians is that they live each day as if it were the day Christ were returning. We cannot let down for even a minute. Sin may be appealing, but we must realize that the reward for sin is death. Only by remaining steadfast in our pursuit of righteousness may we hope to obtain the life which never ends. Keep me consistent, Lord. I often want to do the things I know I should not, and I need your help to steer clear of things which are not good to do. Forgive me when I fall prey to sin, and lift me up so that I might live a life which is pleasing to you. October 13th. Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. Chapter 23, verse 23. It looked like a good deal. He had wanted a new camera for a long time, and when he saw the one he wanted for $300, less than any other price he had found, he jumped at the chance. It had worked well for a couple of weeks, but then the shutter stuck. After that, the pictures came out foggy. The lens didn't set properly on the face of the camera, and the film started jamming. It didn't take long to realize he had been taken. The camera he bought was nothing but junk. He had paid a foolishly low price, and he had been made a fool of. There are so many things in our lives which look good, but they are really inferior. Fame, wealth, prestige, looks all seem like they are wonderful things to have, but they fade away and leave us with nothing. Truth, wisdom, and understanding are costly, but they are worth anything we have to give. They fill us with an inner treasure which does not fade. There is nothing greater for us to devote ourselves to. God will guide us to wisdom and understanding if we will ask Him to. He blesses anyone who sincerely tries to find truth. With God on our side, we can rest assured that we will attain our goal. Once attained, we will never let go of the riches we have been blessed with. There is a lot in this world that has no value. Keep me from giving myself to those things. Make me desire truth, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. I love you, Father, and I want to do what is right. Bless my efforts. And then the last one for today, October 14th. Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who hath babbling? Who hath wounds without cause? Who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things. Chapter 23, verses 29 through 33. Everyone was into drugs of some kind at the theater where she worked. She had resisted for quite some time, but finally gave in. She tried many things and found that some of the pills made her feel wonderful. She kept telling herself that she was in complete control, and that she could do without the stuff. But as time passed, she began to admit that she was kidding herself. She looked in the mirror and saw a much older woman staring her in the face. She was broke because her habit cost so much, and she realized that she was so close to ruin. The same is true of anything we get hooked on. Drugs, alcohol, money, success, all these have the same destructive power. They drain us of our spirit, and they leave us empty shells. Only one thing is worthy of our souls, and that is God. If we give ourselves to Him, He will give us back better than before. We can come to true wholeness and potential only in the Lord. Destroy what is wrong within my heart, dear Lord. Take me and teach me to live a life which is good and strong. Support me through my weak moments, and fill me with your holy might. All right, so we will go ahead and we'll leave it there for this video, and I'll just see you guys in the next one. Y'all take care. God bless.